The AFL, the sport that we all love to hate. Whether it be these fellas getting 22% of their decisions wrong, or this other green man getting called a bald-headed flog, and immediately making the entire AFL pissed, and now security's everywhere. Maybe it's the deliberate rules, who knows? Maybe the AFL not knowing how to review their own decisions and calling this, saying that the ball was not over the line when he touched it here. You're right there, fella. It's not even close. The AFL has made a lot of dumb mistakes. And to be honest, that's why we love the AFL. And you know why I deliberately added that clip. If you are a friend, you will personally know why I picked an Essendon clip. Or photo, I guess I mean. These are just really photos. But regardless, the AFL season is coming to an end. We're in the final weeks. And realistically, there are only 11 possible contenders. Adelaide, Port Adelaide, who coincidentally, both being in South Australia, have the same percentage. Adelaide, Port Adelaide, Hawthorn, Bulldogs, Bombers, Giants, Pies, Tigers, Eagles, Cats, and then on top, biggest surprise of all, the Lions. Now, this could honestly, I feel like I'm going to do a video after this where I'm going to review, everyone's about the top 8, that's who's in finals, but what about the bottom 8? No one ever talk about them. So after this video, I probably will do a video in the soon future analysing the bottom 8. But for this video, we're looking at top 8. And because the season's not over and we can't predict 2 max finals, the only way I can make this fair is to make it so we pretend the season ends now and the Dogs come 8th. What a familiar story of the Dogs being in 8th. Only AFL fans will understand. Regardless, let's get in. Also, for these estimates, the Bombers will swap mates, for the Giants will swap spaces, because honestly, I just feel like the Bombers will win the game against Collingwood. Now, this is probably some fan bias kicking in, considering I do go for the Bombers. Come on. But yes, Bombers are going to be in 6th for this prediction. Don't argue. Now let's get started. First game, Brisbane-Richmond. Brisbane in 1st, Tigers in 4th. This one is honestly a close one, but the fact that Brisbane have been they're good, and they're also getting a bit of bias, cough cough AFL. Which will be funny because they literally play the week in round 23, and they're now playing for round 1 of finals, and I honestly see the Lions pulling a win here and moving on. While the Tigers are not out, they're saved by second chance rule. Now, next game, we got Collingwood Bulldogs. Now, as a Collingwood hater, I hate to say this, but Collingwood should win. Bulldogs aren't getting another miracle. Move the Pies through, sadly. Next, a game I'll actually enjoy, Essendon GWS. It will be an Essendon home game, like I said, 6th versus 7th. Bombers come 6th in my prediction. Biased! Now this one, Essendon are the most hit-or-miss team in the entire league. They'll either smash the Giants or get smashed. That's what we know. And I think from the lingering experience of the last time they met, will have a major effect on the Giants, and the Bombers will go through. And they'll play Richmond. Oh, I forgot to mention, Collingwood will play the winner of Geelong West Coast. Now, Geelong West Coast. I honestly feel like, even though it's a Geelong home game, this one's going the way of West Coast. Geelong, in my opinion, are not the team to beat. They're honestly not the greatest team. Now, I know they're going to beat us if they have to play us, but they're not the top team in the 8 by a mile. They're about the 4th best team. Still a top 4 team, but not a top table team. And I believe the Eagles will assert their dominance and go to the next round. Now, let's go. Next round, Essendon versus Richmond. This one will be an absolute classic. The two Sashes going head to head. Sash on sash. And, oops, sorry. My bad, I've screwed this up. Somewhere in my plot, I've messed up. It says, right here, Richmond is meant to actually play Collingwood. So scratch all that. Richmond are playing Collingwood. So the Tigers Pies. 4th versus 5th. This would be a pretty good one. Honestly, either way, I can see it being a back and forth game. Two very defensive teams. I'm going to be honest, two very low scoring. Wait for the other person to make a mistake. And I see Richmond, I just feel are more polished than Collingwood. So I'm going to say Tigers. He's biased! Okay. But that's my honest opinion. In an absolute classic, Richmond just sneak home and move on. And Collingwood do not get a retry after their disastrous, yet to me depression ending game last week. Last grand final. Collingwood fans, look away. Now, where was I? Oh yes, Collingwood are out. And now we get the miraculous word of Essendon Geelong. Funny, I was just talking about how we'd lose if we had to play Geelong. Same statement stands. We lose to Geelong. R.I.P. Now, the next game, with the final teams remaining, Brisbane, Richmond, Geelong, and West Coast. All top 4 teams. That was not intentional. I am sorry. I know upsets exist. But Brisbane play wet. Brisbane will play Geelong. Yeah. I'm going to have to say Brisbane. I'm saying Brisbane. And Brisbane punch a ticket to a grand final. Last thing I'd say. But if Geelong do manage to, if this matchup happens, the one way Geelong can win with this one thing. They need to pressure the Lions. The Lions have a team that, I mean, unless they're all from 2001 players, they don't know what a grand final or a finals game is really like, to be honest. So, the pressure could get to the Lions, but if they can stand up to it and just play their game, then they'll beat the Cats and make their way to the grand final. Yeah, that one's kind of a good one because what will happen? Now, West Coast Richmond. This one. 2 grand final winners. Last year, West Coast won. Year before that, Tigers won. I'm going to make this quick. Give it to Richmond. Nah, I'm kidding. Give it to West Coast at once. A West Coast dub. Sorry, Tiger fans. Now, West Coast, Brisbane. Who wins? The question. This game is going to have a back and forth element. The Lions and the Eagles. A crappy grand final that no one wants to watch because there's no Victorian teams, so the MCG is probably the worst place to hold it. And there are 2 teams in about exact opposite areas, one in WA and one in Queensland. Let's just make it short. Eagles get back to back. Brisbane pressured. Bye. Now, Stop being salty.